Hey, it's your pal, the Dancing Housewife, and welcome back to another episode of the Dancing Housewife podcast. Today, we are lucky to be joined by someone very special, my friend and USA Dance President, Dr. Chuck Garrett, who is here to walk us through all the exciting things that happened in 2025, as well as what lies ahead for USA Dance. Chuck, welcome to the show. I'm so glad you're here.
Thank you, Antoinette. It's a pleasure to be here.
I want to kick things off with the big, exciting stuff and the things that members everywhere are already buzzing about, beginning with national championships, which will include, as I understand, a social dance celebration as well as a professional summit. So, can you give us an overview of what dancers should expect this year?
We've made a lot of efforts to bring everybody together. Sometimes I feel like chapters are in a silo, competitors are in a silo, maybe officials are in a silo. And so for us, the National Dance Championships will be another opportunity to try to bring everybody together. So we'll have
Okay.
an outstanding national championship. We have great competitors. I'm very excited about the venue. I think Daphne and Oleg and Daniel O'Connell, all of them are doing a great job getting this thing ready. Our nationals committee now is almost 60 people, but we have an executive committee of about 8. But we
Okay.
also have a lot more people involved. And so the whole idea is to bring it all together. We want to honor our athletes. The social dance celebration is again an effort to bring our chapter members, social dancers, into our national championships. One time a year, we all can get together. And
Okay.
that's the thinking on this. And so the social dance event will have some 36 group lessons. It'll include a great dance on Friday night, a great dance on Saturday night. There's a dinner involved for people who buy the package. It's very well priced. It's only just a little over $500 for someone, and that includes their hotel for 2 nights, as well as food, as well as all those group lessons. And by the way, everybody's invited to the group lessons. So if we have athletes who want to come over and be a part of some of those lessons, we'd love to have them. It doesn't cost them anything. It's part of their fee when they come to the national championships. And the professional summit is put on by Oleg Kaliba, our senior VP, as well as Kimberly Smith, who is the professional dance chairman. And they're bringing officials in, and they're also bringing in people who would like to be officials, who might like to get trained in some facet of what our officials do. So I just think it's an opportunity to get together and demonstrate that we are one.
Yeah. Yeah. We've got lots of things to touch on, so I'm going to move on to the next topic. One of the most important yet often overlooked areas of any nonprofit organization, and that's governance. And this year, USA Dance took a major step in reviewing and updating its bylaws, which is a process that impacts a lot of things. So, first question is, why was this review of the bylaws so important?
Well, I've always heard, and this is a paraphrase, but most organizations are perfectly designed to get the outcomes that they produce.
Okay.
And in some ways, we wanted to alter those outcomes. Also, the bylaws we're working under right now are 2021A, and a lot's happened since they were enacted.
Sense?
And so we felt like it was time to take all of those things that might have happened since 2021A was enacted, look at those things, see what should be part of the new 2025A bylaws,
Okay.
as well as going forward. And, a lot of people would say bylaws are like the Constitution. The Constitution is something that should be very difficult to change. Revising bylaws shouldn't be like revising the rule book.
Right.
It should be difficult. And that's why in this process, we're trying to include all members, board members, and give everybody an opportunity to be a part of the process.
Yeah. So, what should people understand about the process?
We didn't really get started with the revision until about April.
Okay.
And we set up a 5-member panel. Roger Greenewalt, our secretary, is the
Okay.
chair. And we gave them, I don't know, 4 or 5 months to go through it, make their suggestions, basically do a rewrite, which they have. And then that was presented to me And I sent it yesterday to all board members so that they could look at it. And then today we sent it out to all members of USA Dance. And we told people we welcomed their comments. So
Right.
obviously our board members have already sent some comments based on what they saw yesterday. But our members can take a look, and we've given them an email address, and I think it's legal@usadance.org. And then on December 9th, the board will have a work session. And at that work session, we'll take all the comments that we've received and we'll go through them and we'll discuss them. We'll kind of work our way through them, trying to get to a final document. And then on December 11th, which is Thursday night, we will meet with a board meeting and take a vote to try to adopt those bylaws.
Okay.
That's
So-
kind of how the process works.
When I had drafted this script and these talking points, I had not seen the email that came to the membership. And since I saw your email and, you sent a summary of the most significant bylaw changes, and there were 4, I want you to touch on those for our listeners. The first one being that the president and the senior VP will no longer run separately on alternating years, but they'll run as a joint ticket. Can you talk a little bit about why the committee decided that change would be important?
Well, historically, when presidents have come in, they have inherited the current VP.
Right.
And generally speaking, it was not too long before that VP resigned. And so then the president appointed somebody.
Right.
And then they were up for re-election. And it causes a situation where you can't really make a 4-year plan to try to work with somebody and get some things done. It makes continuity more difficult. If 2 people, a president and vice president, can get on the same page and have an opportunity to work together for 4 years, it'll just be better for USA Dance.
Okay. Significant bylaw change number 2. The treasurer's position will change from an elected position to an appointed position.
The treasurer has a tremendous responsibility with money,
Right.
with budgeting, with audits. And so by going through an interview process, being able to advertise for CPAs, if we're having any difficulties financially or whatever, it gives us a chance to be able to be a little more nimble and timely with some decisions that we make.
The next significant bylaw change, number 3, is the model for our elections, which has been to elect half the leadership in one election and then 2 years later elect the other half, with the duration for each position being 4 years. So every
Right.
2 years we have an election, but those positions last for 4 years because they alternate. And that is being changed. Is that correct? So now we're electing
is the-
everyone every 4 years.
That is the recommendation that went out to everybody.
Okay.
A few reasons. One is, for instance, I just got elected. All right. We had all that goes with being a transition new year. And then next year, we're starting a new set of elections. And then when we have that set of elections, now you have another transition.
Right.
And so the idea of having an election and then having 3 years to be able to function without an election in front of you, then you have an election in the 4th year, and it just gives us a better chance to have good continuity. To conduct election costs about $2,500.
Oh, so
And it'll
that
save
saves
us
us some money.
$2,500 because
Yeah.
we'll only do it once instead of twice.
Yeah. All right. Finally, summary of significant bylaw change number 4. The requirement to serve as dance sport delegate is being modified, which will make more athletes eligible. So as I recall, in order to be a dance sport delegate, you have to be competing at the championship level currently.
The verbiage was elite championship athlete,
Okay.
but it really wasn't defined what an elite championship athlete is.
Uh-huh.
Is that somebody in the top 20% in the WDSF rankings? I mean, who is that? And so also a lot of times our elite athletes are so busy training and so busy traveling and so busy competing
They
that
don't
they
have
don't
time.
necessarily run.
Yeah.
And so we're trying to broaden the pool just a little bit to see if we can't have a little bit larger pool of people who can run.
All right, so let's move on to the next topic. I know building pride, morale, and member connection has always been important to you. It's something that you ran on. So, what steps has USA Dance taken this year to rebuild that pride and morale? Now, I know what we're doing with national championships is one thing, but tell me what else is happening.
You see my button?
I do see your button.
I'll put it up here close. That's a tiny thing. But as many of our members as wear those, you know, it shows a certain pride in being a part of our organization.
Right.
And what I want is for every member to feel like they are important in USA Dance. If they have a problem, having those problems solved is important. And so when you feel that way, the next thing you do is you start having strategies to help that happen. And for instance, uh, we really need to respond to people quickly.
Yeah.
If someone has a problem and, you know, I may get an email tonight, I'm going to answer it tomorrow at the latest. Even if it's just to say, look, I've read this, but I'll have to get back to you. Somehow they know I read it. When our athletes compete overseas and they need help through our international advisor, I want them to feel like they're being paid attention to and they're getting it. And we're working hard to get that done. You know, we now have 4 people working in membership where there used to be 1 for the most. And so now when we get a call, we are able to answer it faster. When somebody tries to run through the membership and they can't make it work, they get an answer faster. So if you're a chapter member and you're trying to rejoin and you run into trouble and it takes a week or a month, you don't feel like I just told you I want them to feel. I want
Right.
them to feel like we want them. We need them. We want them in USA Dance. And so I think our response time's a lot faster. And I think adding Karen in the role she's in, she's been the assistant treasurer, but
Karen
she's also
Chalecki,
taken
for
on,
listeners,
yes,
that's Karen Chalecki.
and she's, you know, back when we were in the election, I told you we needed another Mary.
Yeah.
And you remember?
Yes.
And Mary, I remember when I came to USA Dance, I could call Mary, and I mean, she talked to me like she was my best friend. Any problem that I had, she would just walk me through it, and I didn't know anything about anything, and so she was very helpful. And I think when we lost her, we lost a very valuable asset, and we're trying to celebrate people. You know, we had people win world championships this year. We tried to celebrate that. And so I think every time we get a chance, I think we need to celebrate everything we can in USA Dance and make everybody feel like they're seen, they're appreciated, and we respond to them.
Yeah.
And I think that's why it's improving.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, let's fast forward a little bit to the WDSF, because you just talked about 2 sets of world champions. Tatiana and Anatoly won senior 3 Latin, and Julia and Kai won the show dance world championships,
Right.
which was big. So let's talk a little bit about WDSF. You attended the annual general meeting this year. Did anyone else attend with you?
Daphne went, the dance
Okay.
court VP.
What was that experience like, and what were the biggest takeaways?
You know, my takeaways might not be what some people would think. It wasn't particular votes that were taken, although there was a vote for that impacted dancers who dance alone
Okay.
and compete. That was
The
probably the
solo
most important.
proficiency.
And Daphne was a leader in trying to help people, me in particular, understand exactly the ins and outs of what was going on with that. But what I got more than anything is I was able to spend time with Sean Tay and Nina Jeftik. Sean Tay is the president. Nina is the senior vice president. And then, of course, Sergey. We spent time talking. They let me know what they thought was important for WDSF regarding us, and we did the same thing. But we had already started building that several months before then and trying to build a relationship. I want them to know that I'll do anything I can to support WDSF, but it has to also be in the interest of USA Dance.
Right.
if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
And they
Yeah.
basically, the same thing. They're going to do everything they can to make WDSF strong, and they'll do anything they can for us. But the WDSF rules, regulations, needs, mission has to come first for them.
Right.
So they've had a thing or two that they would have liked us to do that I just didn't think were in our best interest, and I don't want to get into particulars.
Right.
And I've had a thing or two I've asked them to do, and they had the same feeling. But we've had a lot of good agreements. We've done a lot of things together. But more importantly, when we don't agree, we're agreeable.
Right.
We
Right.
you'll
You
shake
agree to
hands,
disagree.
you'll
Yeah.
be all that kind of
Respect.
stuff.
Yeah. Respectful.
So
One,
I
one,
was able to really cement that while I was there. I also met presidents from all over
other
the world.
federations. Yeah.
I had a chance to talk to the Chinese president. Of course, he had an interpreter, and it was just a lot of fun.
Yeah.
It broadened my view
Right.
of the world of dance.
Yeah. What do you think rebuilding this relationship or building this relationship in a new way between the US and WDSF and other federations? What does this mean for our athletes?
Well, as far as something measurable,
This is-
maybe not much, but I do believe things will be more welcoming. I think they will feel an air of respect and appreciation.
Mhm.
I think WDSF will do all they can to accommodate us when they can. So it's just the benefit you get from having a good
Yeah.
working relationship.
Yeah. I wouldn't be me if I didn't ask you this question
No,
about
you're doing a pretty good job. But
this is a sticking point, I know, for me and for some people. Do you think building this rapport is going to help us work toward getting American style contested on the international stage?
I've talked to them about that, and I've also talked to them about Latin 4. We have dancers who would love to see us compete world championships in Latin Senior 4, which we don't right now. It is legal right now to hold a world championship in American Smooth.
Right.
But the problem is, and this is where the work comes in, is the other countries don't know how to dance it.
Is-
There's some that do, but for the most part, they don't. And so I am working right now on a proposal where we, USA Dance, could reach out to those member countries with our professionals to help their professionals be more aware of American Smooth and how to teach it. Now, this is on the very front end, and it's something that even the proposal is not written up as formally as it needs to be. But there's no doubt they know it's on the radar. But I will say that, like any bureaucracy, things move slowly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even when
Sure.
people want them to move, they still move slowly.
Yeah. Yeah. But you got to take that first step, right? I mean,
That's
what
right.
is it? A journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. And I'm just glad you're taking the step. So it's,
No, and I will follow through.
yeah.
And matter of fact, Oleg is formalizing our proposal. So
Oh,
he's working
awesome.
on that.
So like we said, it's been a standout year for USA Dance with 2 world champions, Latin and show dance. On the domestic side, we've had some other huge success stories, like the merging of Carolina Fall Classic and Chicago to create the Midwestern Regional. That was a pretty successful event. What are some of the other successful domestic events we've had this year?
Well, I do think the Chicago competition having more than 200 participants
Yeah, it was big.
and to have Daniel and Tiffany and Sean and Annie all come together to build an event, to bring that out of the ashes, because I think it's been probably 4 years since it's really had that type of interest. I think that interest will grow
Yeah.
because you know how it is, success builds on success. Of course, the Excelsior Cup was a real success
Yeah.
in general. Vladimir and Lisa and Daphne and Renata, they did a great job putting that whole thing together.
Right.
But I think a lot of our best success right now is happening in collegiate. We are increasing our collegiate numbers. We are increasing our collegiate competitions. I know that the Dance Sport Council is working to try to modify some of our regulations to encourage more of that. And
Yeah.
so I'm very optimistic about where that's going.
It seems like organizers are feeling better supported by the organization. So what changed operationally that's made it easier or better for organizers?
Well, again, they feel like we're hearing them. We understand that we can't have a strong dance sport division without having competitions that make money or at
Right.
least break even. I mean, we made some changes. For instance, the Dance Sport Council recommended this. Let's say you're going to the Kansas City Dance Classic and you're a member. Well, everything's the same for you. But let's say you're not a member and you happen to live in Kansas City and you'd love to dance. Well, now you can dance and not be a member, but you'll pay more for it. In order to go to nationals, you have to be a member. So let's say they do that and they like it. Well, then you might get a membership out of it as well.
Right,
But
right.
I think the organizers now feel like, well, if I have 15 or 20 people locally who want to be a part of this, I can now let them do that.
Yeah, yeah,
And so I think that really was a boost. I think that was a major change
yeah,
that they really appreciated.
yeah.
Just to
Oh,
say this, we've agreed to that through nationals.
okay.
After nationals, we're going to run the budget and see if it's had a negative or positive impact
Okay.
on the actual amount of money we're bringing in from dance sport.
Okay. Okay. Good point. Okay. Now, next topic. Not quite as flashy as world champions, but still important. I understand there's been an update to the marketing rules. What prompted the update?
I think probably the thing that prompted it was the last two presidential elections have been rather divisive. For instance, on our Facebook Member Inc. forum page, we have 10,000 followers. Probably half of them aren't members.
Right.
And so that goes out to the world. People see that. And so there was a general desire to make sure that we present ourselves to our constituency as well as the broader constituency in a positive manner, like any corporation would want to do.
Right.
And so rules were written with those things in mind, and they were basically written to encourage that. For instance, send us your dance picture, send us video of you dancing with somebody, send us information about what's going on if you just competed. Send us that video. Let us put positive things out there. But the other thing that also came of that is the idea that the rules won't change for elections. Our rules say there's no politics on our social media.
Right.
We have generally made an exception of that during the election cycles. That exception won't be made anymore. It's been passed by the board, so right now that won't happen. So
Okay.
whenever the elections are held, there won't be political rhetoric on our social media.
Okay. Okay. All right, Chuck, before we move on to the next topic, I want to highlight the important role American Dancer plays in strengthening the USA Dance brand and marketing. Its storytelling and consistent voice shape how both our members and the broader dance community perceive our organization. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
That is absolutely right, Antoinette. And we have some great news that reinforces that. On January 19, 2025, FeedSpot named American Dancer one of the top 25 dance magazines on the web. It debuted at 15. Since then, it's climbed to 12 and has reached as high as 11, and that is internationally. So, a huge thank you to Editor in Chief Roseanne Lynch for her leadership and dedication in making American Dancer such an exceptional publication. And one thing I really enjoy about it is it shows all the diversity of USA Dance, and it's consistent. It's always up to date, and I really enjoy reading it.
Yeah, Roseanne's a good friend of mine. And in her words, I have to say to listeners, are you reading American Dancer magazine? You
I
should
knew that's
be.
where you were going with it.
All right, let's move on. Next topic, transparency. I have to tell you, I have not signed on yet to any of the board meetings that are webcast, but that's been a big shift that the board meetings are now webcasted and anyone can sign on and listen. Can you explain how those came to be? why they matter.
Our goal was just to give everybody a chance to watch it if they wanted to. Now, this has been something we've done all year. If we've had a problem, it's been sometimes we don't advertise it soon enough. A lot of times we use the word tentative. This is when
Right.
we want to meet. But if we have people who can't make it, we may cancel.
Right.
If we have a date very close to that, we may set it for then. So sometimes our notice to the members on Facebook has been a day or two before.
Right.
So with that in mind, I'll say the board will meet on December 11 to look at these bylaws and to make some determinations of what they'll be and to take a vote. So it starts at 9 o'clock Eastern. There should be a link on Facebook on or about the 4th.
Okay.
Our digest is going out probably on Monday, and I believe that's what it says.
Yeah. In your defense and in the defense of the board, when you have an organization that is run almost exclusively by volunteers, that happens. That just happens, you know? So I understand that. On that same note, I also understand that in the past, we've done a lot of email voting, meaning the board may have discussed something and then cast their votes by email, but that has significantly decreased. Why is that important and why is that notable?
I think it's important that people who are tuning in to the webcast get an opportunity to see the conversation and the vote.
Okay.
And so I would much rather do it that way. Now, so far this year, we have not had a single email vote. We did contemplate one, but we had one person who preferred not to do it, and so we didn't. So we have voted in public on all of them. And I think
Okay.
it's important for transparency.
All right. Now we're going to start looking ahead. Goals. Goals for 2026 are pretty ambitious, and I want you to correct me if I'm wrong here, but USA Dance is aiming to reach $400,000 in the reserve fund, grow the membership to 6,000 members, maintain consistent month-over-month growth throughout the year, and launch a brand new vendor marketplace. So I have that right? Those are some goals for 2026?
That is, and may I refer to a card because I want
Yes.
to make sure I
Yeah.
say these things right.
A lot of, yeah.
Okay. In March 2020,
Yeah.
that's just before COVID got going, just
Right.
before the pandemic was, we had 6,549 members. Now, this is according, every number I give you is right out of YM.
Okay.
So it's not hearsay.
YM for
6,549.
people who don't know what that is. YM.
That's our membership portal. Your membership is what it stands for.
Your membership.
So
Okay.
it's our membership portal.
Okay.
6,549. As of January 2025, we had 3,790. And if you look at all of those years in the middle, it fluctuated 3, 4, but there was movement. But as of January 2025, according to YM, we had 3,790. As of November, today, we have 5,866.
Okay.
And if you look at all 11 months, we have grown each month. It's been a
Okay.
slow trend, but it's been a positive trend.
Okay.
So we're at 5,866. My goal is to get to 6,000
Okay.
in the next 4 or 5 months, which would mean we need 134 more.
So what's the plan for that? How are you driving that?
Well, some of this is happening because we're doing a better job of reminding people
Respond.
when their memberships are about to expire.
Right.
But the main thing we're going to try to do is just keep doing what we're doing. I mean, as long as we're staying responsive to people, as long
Right.
as people feel like they're a part and that they're important, I think that'll happen. Now, on the financial side, you said,
Yeah. 400,000 in reserve
400,000.
funds. How
Okay, well,
do
let
you
me
envision that happening?
let me explain how that works. And here's some transparency for you. We have about $2 million in our chapter accounts.
Okay.
That's $2 million that the chapters control.
Okay.
It's in their bank account. It's their money to spend as they see fit. All right. We have In January, we had $240,000 that were basically general funds that could be spent. We had
Okay.
another 30 or so that were breaking that was earmarked just for them.
Okay.
And so I took that 240,000 number and we have been tracking it, and we did a budget amendment, which most people didn't even notice. And that's back in January. Today we have about $340,000 in
Okay.
that number. That's the number we talked about at our AGM.
Okay.
I believe that we have a good chance to hit that $400,000 by late May is
Okay.
what I'm hoping for. We have to see how nationals plays out and
Right.
how
Right.
all these other things we have got going.
Right.
But I think that's reasonable and possible.
Okay.
So if we get to 6,000 members and 4,000 in a reserve fund, I'll feel much more comfortable
Yeah.
and feel like we're really making progress.
Yeah.
So that's my goal.
All right, now I want to talk about the vendor marketplace because I am especially excited to be part of the new vendor marketplace. And
Yes,
many
ma'am.
listeners know that I'm a certified mental performance coach, in addition to being the dancing housewife. And I work primarily with high performing athletes. But after talking to you and getting an invitation to be part of the marketplace, I'm very excited to announce that I've developed a series of group mental performance training sessions that are specific for dancers, both social and competitive. You and I have talked about this a lot. The sessions will explore topics like how to avoid burnout, how to improve confidence, how to manage performance anxiety, whether you're competing or doing a showcase or going to a social dance, building resilience. Two that I'm particularly excited about, and you and I have talked about, are focusing on how to maintain healthy partnerships through communication and
Right.
listening. And then
Right.
techniques for accelerated learning, which is especially useful when you're learning new choreography at our age. It doesn't come as easy. But enough about me. Chuck, can you share who some of the other vendors are and what the marketplace really is and how it's going to be a really good resource for dancers?
We have two parts of the vendor marketplace. We have a swag store, and you can get your hats, your pins, your jackets. You can get all manner of mugs, all that kind of thing, if you go to the vendor marketplace and look at the swag division. And the way that works is you make an order, the company sends it directly to you, and then we probably make 5 or 10% off of it, depending on what it is. That's how that
Right.
works. In the vendor marketplace, we have 3 groups already there, and then you're the 4th. One is Dance Dress Couture, another is Showtime Shoes, a third is Ballroom Box. And then would you say the official name of your
Yes, the fourth one, and hopefully it will be available soon, is
yeah,
Antoinette Daytalk Mental Performance Coaching.
the whole idea is we want as much traffic on our website as we can get, because the more traffic, the more people, the more interest, it builds right into that whole keep the snowball turning.
Yeah,
If
yeah,
that makes any sense.
yeah. This has been a really great conversation. Thank you again for sharing your first year as president reflections, as well as your vision and all the work that's unfolding by all the great volunteers that we have behind the scenes. So before we wrap up, is there anything that you want to talk about that we missed?
Just kind of what you just said. I have been amazed at how hard our volunteers are working. I have been amazed at how many of them are really self-realized in their role.
Is
I
it?
mean, they're good at it.
Yeah.
I do know this: if we have an organization where everyone is fully self-realized in their role, and if they feel good about it and they're working hard, we will be an even better organization. And so everything that is good about USA Dance is coming from the volunteers who are working so very hard. And I
Yeah.
certainly appreciate it.
Yeah. I definitely appreciate them. So with that, And to everyone tuning in, thank you for joining us this week. If you enjoyed today's episode, please share it with a friend, hit the like button, tap 5 stars, and don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. This is The Dancing Housewife and Dr. Chuck Garrett signing off. And as always, happy dancing!
That's all, folks.